And welcome to the Peterson Event Center for the Jeff Capel Show. My name is Jeff Hathorn, and Jeff, it's kind of like we're in that routine now, knock on wood, of midday, weekend, midday. Does that kind of help get you into that routine and get you going for the season?
I think it helps. There's some consistency. You know when the games are coming. You know a little bit when your breaks are going to come, when your off days are going to happen. It's good to get into a routine. You get into the rhythm of the season, and hopefully that will lead to us having some consistently good play.
I know it wasn't as consistent as you would like on Tuesday. First half, good stretch there. That first half was good. And how much of it was inexperience against that zone?
Well, it's interesting because in the three prior times in going to Syracuse, my first 3 years here, it's actually been the exact opposite. We have not played well in the first half at the Carrier Dome, and we've had pretty significant deficits. I think double-figure deficits, in each game at halftime. And we've come out in the second half and played really, really well. So it was almost like it took us 20 minutes to get used to the zone, the backdrop, and all of those things. And then once we got a feel of it, we were able to get back. The first 2 years, we were able to get back and make it a one-possession game. Last season, we were able to win. This year, we actually got off to a pretty good start. You know, we had a lead. We relaxed once we got the lead with under 4 minutes to go. I think we had a 7-point lead in the first half, and then we gave up the lead at halftime. And then we just did not play well in the second half. We couldn't make a shot. I thought that affected our defense. And they are a really good scoring team, a really good offensive team, and they got going, got us in rotations, got to spots. And I thought we just, to be honest with you, I just didn't think we played as hard because I thought we allowed us not being able to make shots affect everything that we did.
Last Saturday right here against Boston College, John Hugley had one of the better outings in Pitt history, really. 14th player ever to score over 30 points and was just phenomenal in that game.
You know, he really was. He fouled out a whole front court. And
right.
I'm not sure I've ever seen that. And I've been around some really good post players, but I'm not sure I've seen one that fouled out a whole front court. He did a really good job of creating space, of creating contact. He got to the foul line 20 times. I actually think he could have got there more in that game. He's a difficult guy to officiate because of how physical he is, and you have to be physical to guard him, and sometimes they don't call those fouls. He rebounded the basketball well. He finished through contact. He certainly was outstanding. He's learning how to play through contact. My hope is that this Saturday he's able to play more than a minute and 12 seconds in the first half.
In that BC game, you're able to finish at the foul line as much as anywhere else. Jamarius has been incredible at the foul line for you in 6 of 6. He had knock on wood in that game.
Yeah, he was. And he's been a guy that's been really good for us all conference season from the foul line. And, in that game, we just, John created the contact, which got us in the bonus. And once we got in the bonus, we were able to drive and create contact and step up and make some shots.
I know that you want your players to be well-rounded. He took a couple of charges in that game that were huge, especially the one late in the game.
Huge. We had turned it over. They were out in transition. It's a little bit over a minute left, and he gave his body up and made a big-time play. I thought that was as big a play as there was in that game because Boston College was not able to get the lead. And it kept the game tied. We came down. We were able to score to get the lead, and then we were able to extend it. Got it to 4. Had another bonehead play where we gave up a 3-point play right after that. But fortunately, we were able to get a stop at the end of the game without fouling and get the win.
He is one of the great stories this year. The contributions from walk-on guard Onabuche Ezeakuda. But Jeff, can you explain why that is no longer an accurate statement?
Yeah, this is something that's been in the works for a while. We've talked about it as a staff. We wanted to check with compliance to make sure we could do it. And today after practice, we awarded a scholarship, a full scholarship. It's retroactive, so it takes over from the first semester on for the rest of the year. It's something that he's earned. I mean, he's, number one, he's the most veteran guy with us in the program. and he shows up every day, and Jeff, he's all about Pitt. Like, that's it. There's nothing necessarily for him. He's thinking about how can he help Pitt, how can he help his teammates, how can he help us be the best version of us that we can be. And he's been such a godsend to our program and to us, and to me as a head coach. He's someone that I believe in. He's someone that I think is a believer in us. He's someone that has worked his butt off on top of going through such a grueling academic schedule with the classes and the responsibilities he has there. And he's done that at an extremely, extremely high level. And he's just such an amazing young man. I mean, he's a man now, and it's been really cool to watch his journey and to be a part of his journey.
What are the emotions like when you have that conversation with a player?
Just, after practice, I called him over. I said I wanted to talk to him, and I sat him down, and I had already signed all the papers, and I just told him, like, hey man, I want to give you a scholarship. You've earned this. And I just had him sign it right then. And I explained to him what it was, and I'm proud of him. He's earned it. I wanted to let him know this is not me just giving this to him. This is something, that he has earned. It was really cool. It was really cool to see his teammates' reactions. I don't know if they knew. I don't know, because when he walked away, he had a big grin on his face, and it was kind of like almost floating out of there. And I don't know if they were able to gauge by that what had happened. I heard them say, because they were away from me, like, did you get a scholarship? And he said, yeah. And then they just like all went crazy. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah, and the contributions and the way he stepped up. He approaches the game like a scholarship player.
He does. And he's a good player. Like, that's and it's work. He's worked. Like, our first year here when we took over, we had walk-on tryouts. He was here for the walk-on tryouts. And he played well. We just decided that year that we weren't going to keep anyone. And then a little bit later, we added him as a practice player. And he showed up every day. He worked. He pushed those guys. But I think playing against these guys every day that he's played against since he's been here has helped him get better. And then he's worked. Like, in the offseason, he'd work. He'd work on his game. He'd work on his body. This past offseason, he spent a lot of time in the gym working on his shooting. And he's turned into a pretty good shooter.
Coming up on Saturday, another battle with Malik Williams and Louisville. It's the first repeat team. That was such a crazy game. Is that like a reboot? The Steelers have talked about that with the Kansas City game. Like, this week is a reboot for them as opposed to studying a lot of tape from the first game.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you certainly have to study and have to look at it because it was a close game. We had a chance. We did some good things. We got to correct the mistakes that we made in that game, especially defensively, and then offensively, turning the basketball over, making sure we get great shots every time. But, to be honest with you, it's probably one of the craziest beginnings of a game that I've ever been a part of. We had 16 fouls before 18 minutes. I mean, we had 3 technical fouls in the first minute and 12 seconds of the game. John had 2 fouls in the first minute and 12 seconds of the game. And so it was just in that first half, we had a lineup out there to end the half, maybe like the last 6 minutes after Mo picked up his second foul, that we've never practiced with. Like, they had never been on the court together. And it was guys in different positions, so we couldn't run any plays, any sets. We just spread the floor out and just ball screened over and over. And our guys were able to adapt in that situation to keep it close. We got out in the second half. We were able to get a lead, but just, again, we weren't able to sustain it.
Williams is a great player, but is West a guy that's kind of hidden with the way he handles the ball and then lock from 3?
Yeah, I think they have a good team, a good basketball team. They're older. Even some of the new guys that they have that are new to their program, they're older guys. They're men. They're fifth-year guys, sixth-year guys in some cases. And then when you add Williams, some of those other guys that have been there in their program that understand it, and those guys are older. Dre Davis is another guy that's been in their program. And so it's, they have really good size. They have good athleticism. Obviously, West with his ability to be a pest defensively and run their team. Williams inside, scoring, and he can score away from the basket. Locke with his shooting. The guy that really hurt us, but L. Ellis, he really, really hurt us in the second half. He got going and made some huge, huge plays for them. Again, so it's a good team. They've lost 2 in a row, so we know there's going to be a sense of desperation, from them. But the big thing for us is that we have to play harder, we have to be smarter, and we have to be tougher.
Jeff, we talked about the perseverance that Oni. I think that perseverance describes our next guest as well, Brad Wanamaker. I mean, this guy has persevered, and it has paid off in a big way. We're going to talk to the former Panther great as we continue. It's the Jeff Capel Show here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
Gonna take it all the way from the scrum. What an atmosphere it is in this building.
Season tickets are now available. "68 starts in his last 2 years with the Panthers, 816 points, 371 rebounds, 334 assists, 90 steals, 22 blocks, 41 made threes, and shot nearly 45% from the floor. That's all Brad Wanamaker did in his last 2 seasons with Pitt. Oh, and by the way, his team's won 53 games over those 2 seasons, including a regular season Big East title. And Brad joins us now. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I ain't know I had that many blocks, though.
I think that was just in 2 years, right?
That was in 2 years.
So you probably had more than that.
Brad,
that's crazy.
What were those 2 years like for you? Getting to start, having that type of impact. Can you describe those seasons?
It was great, man. People that followed our team, back then it was hard for a freshman to come in and get any type of minutes. And, there was a lot of good players in front of me, so it was a grind. Something that you had to work for. And when that time came, I tried to take full advantage of it. And, you was grateful for that moment, but it was a moment you knew other people was coming for your spot and you wanted to keep it.
All right, so what in your mentality allowed you to grind and not give up when not starting those first couple of years?
I had good people around me. LeVance Fields was the point guard before me. Ronald Ramon, guys like that set the blueprint before me and showed me, when you work for something, eventually comes. And, I just stayed in the gym. Those guys was ahead of me, but they was also in my ear telling me, my time will come. So I came in with Gary McGee, DeJuan Blair, and, we just worked. DeJuan had it early on before me and Gary, but, Gary was one of the first people that showed me, like, bro, we got to get in the gym, we got to work. And eventually turned out me and him had really good years at Pitt.
I don't know, Jeff. I think Brad had people that had his back. Like, if you had 2 people you wanted to have your back, DeJuan Blair and Gary McGee are pretty good guys.
Oh, yeah, the big guys, for sure.
Yeah. It's such a different time now, and, it's always amazing to me when I hear these stories. I've gotten to know you, Brad. I've gotten to know Ronald and LeVant and all these guys, and one of the things that I've always asked is, how did you guys do this? And it's similar to the program that when I hear the stories, it's similar to the program that I played for. It's actually just alike, that you were taught by the older guys. There was pride in the program, pride in the work. You pushed each other, the competitiveness and practice, and each of you all became better because of it. And that's how you build a team. That's how you have a really good team, but more importantly, that's how you build a program. And that's something that we have been trying to do since we've taken over. We didn't have the luxury of having success. Like when you walked into Levance. They had some success, and so we're trying to build on that right now.
And Brad, I want to get back to something that you were asked about. What do you tell young guys that walk into a program, they're freshmen, or maybe it's their sophomore year, and they're not getting the time yet? I'm sure people ask you advice. What is your advice to those guys?
Perseverance. Fight through it. It's such different times. Like Jeff was just saying, it's such different times where guys could just pack up and leave, but his time and my time, grind out time. And I just tell guys now, you just got to grind out, man. You got to keep faith in yourself. You got to believe that it's part of your process. And don't give up. Guys now are quick to give up and jump to the next program. Where you go certain places, coaches believe in you. And they got you there for a reason. They know what you could do. So I just say, just grind it out. Give it a chance. Don't quit on yourself. Believe that it could work out and keep going.
Do you feel like your experience here at Pitt, the things that you went through to have to earn, that starting position by the time you were a junior didn't happen right away. And you look at your professional career, you graduated Pitt in 2011, but you didn't make the NBA until I think 2018. So you talk about the grind. Do you think that experience and the things you went through here at the University of Pittsburgh really helped you in your professional career?
Oh, most definitely. Going through that, it definitely prepared me in my professional career because I seen it early. I was hit with curveballs early. Things didn't go as planned early on. So when I became a professional and I seen the same things happening, I just thought, it was some light at the end of the tunnel. So I just stuck with it, and I have a big support with family and friends. So a lot of people were telling me, you've been through this before, stick with it, and I think that also helped me throughout.
When you finally got that NBA opportunity, and it's no disrespect to other organizations in the league, but you got to put on a Celtics jersey. I mean, Russell, Cousy, Bird, McHale, Pierce. Just some crazy names that played for the Celtics. Did you take a moment and think about that before you put that on?
Yo, so what's crazy? I was like so excited when I signed with the Celtics, and me being from Philly, my family is Sixers fans, so I was going crazy. I was super excited, and my family was like, "Oh yeah, man, we're so happy for you," but we're still Sixers fans. So it was kind of crazy. Everybody was so excited for me, but they all kept telling me, "Oh yeah." So I get family members tickets to games, especially when we played the Sixers. They would come to Boston with Sixers stuff on. I'm like, yeah, I'll take the game. They was that dedicated.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's bold.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that was your art? That was your shot, that mid-range shot?
Oh yeah, most definitely. It was my most efficient shot. I developed the three later on in my career, but that was definitely my go-to shot since high school. If anybody knew me, they called me Pull-Up Brad because I was getting past somebody pulling up a jump shot. Mid-range, that was my game.
Your last question here. You had an opportunity. You led the NBA in free throw shooting, I think, one year. Did you not?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I did.
They're cool. Scoring's a cool category, but to lead the NBA in anything after, that's awesome.
That was pretty cool. They actually gave me a trophy for it. I was always like, aggressive driver, getting downhill to the basket. That's my game, get to the free throw line. So I just wanted to try to perfect, being a free throw shooter. Getting the 3 points when it counted because I was not always the great free throw shooter. So that was something I just wanted to perfect and work on, and especially being a guy that gets to the line a lot.
Well, hey, Brad, thank you for your time. We
appreciate you, Brad.
Thank you guys for having me.
Sir.
Brad Wanamaker, maybe the next. There are very, very much similarities between Brad Wanamaker and our next guest, Jamarius Burton. As we continue, we'll talk to him on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
Going to take it all the way to the stop. What an atmosphere it is in this building.
Season tickets are now available. Who joins us now after that open three, the BC game? Thrilling win for you guys. Let's just start right there. And on the defensive end, before we get to anything else, you picked up a couple of charges. How proud are you of the way that you were able to do that, and how impactful were those plays, do you think?
They were big time. Coach Brown challenged me to make more winning plays the next game, so I figured that at that particular time it was a great chance and opportunity to take a charge and help our ball club.
How tough is that in that split second? You got to get set. You got to make sure you're not in the restricted area. Like, how do you process that so quickly?
Yeah, for me it's just I've done it time and time again, so at that particular time it was nothing more important than stopping the basketball.
In the last three games, you have missed 3 minutes of action, so I want to know why you can't play every minute.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm joking. Well, how are you able to play all those minutes and still have legs under you?
Yeah, for me, it's just taking care of my body, being in the training room as much as possible, feeling my body, hydration, food, and just making the necessary adjustments and paying attention to my body as well.
You know, I hear guys come in from high school and say it's one of the biggest things they didn't realize, because in high school you just play.
Right.
But you don't realize nutrition and hydration. Is that something that you really have had to learn over the last few years?
Yes. My freshman year, I went from eating pizza before bed. Now I'm doing a whole different regimen.
Really?
So, yeah, it's just
So what's the
it's a big
or is there
learning
no
curve.
food before bed now?
No, it's not no food, but for me, it's like drinking cherry juice. It's good for anti-inflammatories and things of that nature. Just trying to be at the top of my game so I can perform.
Wow. Just listen to you say that. Like, could you imagine having said that just a couple of years ago?
Right. I reflect a lot back to my freshman year and years prior and just think about my growth that I've made.
So what is the pregame meal? Take us through just from a food standpoint, like day before, because it was always like pasta day before.
Right.
And then you'd eat whatever during the day. How about for you? What's the routine now?
For me, it's just, we got training tables before the game. So just making sure I'm not eating too heavy, that I can still give my body the time to digest the food and just making sure I'm hydrating as much as possible.
How much? Do you drink a ton of water?
Yeah, our dietitian Shannon said I need about 13 bottles a day.
13 bottles?
Yeah.
A day.
Yes, sir.
Wow. That's a lot, but it's working.
Yeah, it's working. And I'm a big proponent of it's not broke, don't fix it.
You know, coaches, I know in practice often will have you run sprints and then get to the line because they want you fatigued.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing all those minutes, yet, knock on wood, I think you're 26 your last 26 from the foul line or something like that. You're shooting crazy well. What allows you? What is your routine that allows you, even when you're tired, to keep that same motion and same success?
Yeah, for me, my routine is very pivotal, very important. I just try to practice that routine as far as like staying consistent with the time and the breathing, so that in those big moments I can knock them down.
So you don't have to think about that stuff.
Right.
You're not thinking about breathing or any of that.
Right.
What's led to the improvement from the line? Is it just that, or is there something that you worked on off season about? Or just maybe more work off season?
Yeah, to me it was just more work. Instead of 20 free throws, now I'm trying to shoot 100 straight and try to shoot in the 90 percentile and have a manager track it. And if I don't shoot 90, then I push myself even more. Or I might shoot to 50, but if I miss, I go down a number. So if I miss at 50, I'm at 49. And I just try to stay consistent with that, and it's been paying off.
How would you describe what this year has been like?
It's been very tough, especially with all the close losses. But I still feel like there's hope for us. Each and every game is an opportunity for us to go out and improve and to win.
Give us an idea after those close losses. Is the room obviously there's disappointment, but is there talk about, hey, this is what we need to do? What happens in the room?
Yeah, for our group, we're still just trying to get better. After every loss, there's continue conversations amongst players and coaches about, ways that we can improve and get better for the next game. I don't think anybody's heads are down or we're throwing in the towel. We're still very motivated each and every night we step on the floor.
The cool thing at practice today, we talked to Jeff about earlier, to see Oni get a scholarship. And I know you haven't been with him as long as some of the other guys, but what was that moment like?
It was amazing. I mean, O is a true proponent of hard work pays off. He shows up each and every day, putting forth 100% effort, and today is a big day for him, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. What has it been like working with him? And you guys at times, you've been short-handed. How difficult has that been, and how tight have you guys become as guards?
Yeah, we've become tight because of those circumstances, but I mean, for me, I'm just blessed to be able to share a floor with him. I mean, when I'm on the floor with him, I feel like he's giving 110%, and that's all you can ask for. So
you're one of a few seniors on this roster. Do you look at your role as a leadership role, and is that something, if so, that you're comfortable with?
Yeah, it's one of my roles, and I'm definitely comfortable with that role.
What makes a good leader?
A person that's consistent, shows up each and every day, and as well as demands excellence out of his teammates, but also holds himself accountable, and I try to do that each and every day.
So much is about the three. Your mid-range shot is really good. Like, what is the art behind that for you?
For me, it's just where I'm most comfortable ever since a young child. Defenders would try to cut me off going to the rim because I was a driver first. So I just fell in love with the mid-range, and I've been trying to expand my game ever since.
Your mom played college basketball. How much of your love for the game came from your mom?
My love for the game came from my mom and my sisters who also played. So just growing up, being around them, constantly getting knowledge from them, constantly getting coaching from them has been pivotal for my career.
Now your sisters are older. Like, there's probably a time they were better. Like,
yeah.
Did they school you? Were those some interesting backyard games that you would have with your sisters and your younger brother?
Yeah, for sure. But they definitely, during the midst of that defeat, them kicking my butt, they was teaching me some things, teaching me some tips that I use today.
Like what?
Like posting up, feeling where the defender is, knowing which move to go to based off, how the defender is guarding you.
We're joined by Jamarius Burton. Have you thought about how blessed you are? I mean, that you and three siblings play college basketball, and your mom play. I mean, like that's very rare in a family.
It's definitely rare, but it's a true blessing, true honor to be a part of it. And I'm just thankful for the knowledge that they continue to give me.
So how much post-game do you get from your sisters and mom?
The post-game routine for me is to call my family, and that's going to go on for about 2 to 3 hours after each game. That's just the ritual.
Seriously?
Yeah, the ritual. I got to call my mom, my dad, my sisters. If they're not all together, I got to call them individually.
Do they all have advice?
Yes, and it's all different.
But is it pretty spot? Like, can you look
It's
back?
It's spot on, yeah. Especially when I go back and watch the film, they tell me, like, on this defensive play, this offensive play, like, I go back and I watch.
Are they brutally honest?
Yes, brutally honest, especially my mother.
Really?
Yes.
So your mom is the one, and what can you say to your mom? Like,
nothing. Just listen.
Thanks. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Just listen, take the advice, and run with it.
Pitt is your third school.
Mm-hmm.
What really sold you?
For me, it was just having a great conversation with the coaches, understanding what their vision was for me, how they envisioned me in their system, and for me, getting back home 7 hours away as opposed to 20 to 17. I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
How anxious are you for another shot at Louisville on Saturday?
Very anxious. I think we lost about 3 last time. Obviously, there were some mistakes that we could have made, so I just look forward for another opportunity.
Well, hey, best of luck.
I appreciate it.
Good luck against the Cardinals. Jamarius Burton joining us. I want to thank all of our guests as the Panthers will be home on Saturday, and especially thank Brad Wanamaker who joins us. And he's going to hook up with another team. He was with Washington for a game, started that game, and then COVID played a factor in his 10-day contract. So we look forward to Brad being back in the league, and thanks to his stories. And again, the stat line just still is crazy. 816 points, 371 rebounds, 334 assists, 90 steals, 22 blocks. That's a crazy percentage, and won 53 games over his last 2 years. Jamarius Burton for joining us as well. It's interesting hearing about his family situation after games. Can't imagine talking to your family for that long. So thanks to JB. Thanks also to Brad Wanamaker. Our thanks to Jeff, to Matt Plizga, Amanda King, and Cale Berger in our Pitt studios. Panthers and Louisville. Pregame at 3:30 right here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.